He pretended to be my dog was the name of a post made in the Let's Not Meet subreddit in 2015. The post reads as follows. My husband and I lived in a small 2-floor house with 2 main entrances, one along the front and the other on the side of the house, which opens up into the laundry room. When we're too busy or it's too late to walk our dog, we hook his collar onto a long line that's attached to one of the pipes on the corner of our house so he can use the bathroom. We used to do this from the door in our laundry room, but we noticed the large step from the door to the ground had been taking a toll on his hips. As a result, we started letting him out through the front door instead, since the porch is much closer to the ground. This particular night, I was home alone with my dog, and it was around midnight when I decided to let him out one last time before going to bed. I hook him up to his line, close the door and lock it before heading into the kitchen to put away the dishes. This was pretty routine. Even if he used the bathroom quickly, he liked to walk around along the front and side of the house for a few minutes before coming back inside. As I'm putting away the dishes, I hear a scratch on the door. That's how my dog signals when he wants to come inside, so I head over to let him back in. Since I've watched way too many scary movies, I've always looked through the door's peephole before opening the door. I look to check that my dog is in front of the door. Instead, I see a man staring very intently at the door handle. I freeze with my hand on the door handle. I don't know how much time went by, but then I heard another scratch, this one louder than the last. This kind of wakes me up from my initial shock, and I run to grab my cell phone. I call my husband to tell him what's happening. He was very confused. I probably wasn't explaining the situation very well, but says that he's heading home. This is when I realize my dog is still outside with this person. I head back to the front door, trying to make as little noise as possible to check whether the stranger is still there. Just like before, he's standing there, head bowed, looking at the doorknob. I tiptoe over to the laundry room and slowly open the door as quietly as possible. I can't see my dog anywhere, and the side of my house is covered in gravel. I knew I couldn't step outside without making a lot of noise. With my heart still pounding in my chest, I go to the front door to keep an eye on the stranger and get a better look at him. I considered calling the police, but I didn't feel like they would take me seriously, since all this man was doing was standing in front of my house. I tried taking a picture of him with my cell phone, but my camera was only able to take pictures of the peephole and not the images behind the glass. All of a sudden, the man looks up directly at me. I swear he knew I was there. He glares at me, then opens his mouth to show me this taunting, malicious grin. He stood there that way for a few seconds, and with that, he turns around and starts to walk down the street. I stay in the same place, almost expecting him to rush back and start pounding on the door. Luckily, my husband got back after a few minutes. Long story short, he convinced me to call the police, and we went out looking for our dog. It turns out this man had cut the end of the line connected to the pipe, and our dog decided this was a good time for him to explore my neighbor's backyard, which is where we found him. It's been 3 years since this happened. We've since moved to a new house, and the police weren't able to come up with any suspects. Ever since then, we take our dog on very long walks before the sun goes down. A lot of comments expressed relief over the poster and her dog staying safe, but one comment pointed out something truly disturbing, saying that for the man to know the signal her dog used to come into the house likely meant that he had been watching them for a while, to the point that he maybe even knew that she was home alone. She never posted an update to the situation, so the question of who that man was and why he chose her house remains a mystery. In August of 2022, a post was made on the RBI subreddit named Found Pictures on Social Media account of girls tied up from a guy I met in the bookstore. Today, I was in a bookstore when the guy came up to me. He had trouble making eye contact, communicating, and was making abnormal gestures overall. The first thing he did was say hi and said he really liked my outfit and that I'm very pretty. He seemed really anxious and harmless, so I continued talking to him. He asked me where I live and got my Instagram and phone number. As he was leaving, he asked to take a selfie with me. I thought this was really odd, but said yes, and then he ran away. He followed me on Instagram a couple hours ago, but his first and last name weren't listed, so I looked up his Instagram handle into Safari to see if he had any other social media. Then I found a DeviantArt account with the same name with hundreds of saved photos of girls tied up. That's the only thing the account had on it. It wasn't like a bondage kink, but legitimately just photos of girls tied up, abused, and being tortured. I confirmed the account was his by digging and matching the birthdays. Am I being paranoid or should I be worried? He has my first and last name and my Instagram and phone number. This makes me feel really uneasy and I'm having anxiety. Update: I need help. He found my TikTok account that doesn't have my phone number or name attached. He followed it after I blocked him on Instagram. I'm really scared because I have no idea how he found this account and makes me think that he's found all my social media accounts. Someone please let me know how he found this account. I'm ultimately scared he's going to find out where I go to school, my address, etc. A couple of weeks later, she made another post giving an update. I don't know if it's directly related to the guy, but I woke up with my apartment door wide open. I triple checked that the deadbolt is on before I go to sleep. Weeks earlier, I ordered a Ring camera and it was stolen. I think we have a surveillance camera in my building, so we'll check there. Update: the police are coming to check it and have received the security footage. Update 2: the police came. The footage showed no one entering my apartment, but I'm slightly suspicious because there are large time frames missing from the footage. The landlord said the cameras in my apartment building are motion censored, so the first timestamp before I woke up showed my door closed. The next shows me around 10 a.m. peeking my head out the apartment door as I noticed the door was open. It's interesting that the camera didn't catch the door opening in any capacity, even if by happenstance it opened by itself. I asked about someone entering through the windows, and they said it was unlikely. I feel unsettled because it sounded like they were pushing the possibility that the door had opened by itself. But I don't know how that could have happened in any way if I triple checked that the deadbolt was locked before I went to bed. I do this every night. I'm getting an alarm system installed in my apartment tomorrow. I have a roommate. They weren't home at the time of the incident and confirmed they did not arrive home until after I discovered the door was open. I'll be investing in methods to protect myself. This entire incident today has made me feel like I'm going crazy. As of this video, that was the last post she made about the situation. In 2016, a post was made to the X Reddit thread which asks, "To those who have accidentally killed someone, what went wrong?" An anonymous Redditor using a throwaway account responded to the post saying, "This still haunts me to this day. As kids, we had a hideout in this dirt cliff/cove. There was a neighborhood kid who in hindsight was probably mentally handicapped in some way. But to us, he was just a weird, creepy kid. 3 of us were headed to our base and found the creepy kid sitting at the top in our guard chair. We yelled at him to get out, and he said something like, 'Make me,' and started lobbing dirt clods and sticks down at us. We all ran around the side to make our way up. It gets pretty fuzzy here, but all I remember is he fell. I still remember the sound. When we got back down to check on him, he was in a very awkward position, with blood coming out of his mouth. We all just freaked out and ran home, and no one has spoken a word of this to anyone. We didn't go back for over a month and never said a word of it between us." Shortly after their confession, the posts in the account were deleted, but a couple of Redditors were able to archive the posts. Users noticed the post shared a lot of similarities with the case of Scott Clay Schulte, where in the 80s, the 9-year-old boy went off to play in the woods but never returned home. Police were contacted about the post, but still believed that Scott was abducted